You know that sinking feeling when your truck does the one thing it's famous on forums for doing wrong? The little cold start rattle, the cough on a humid morning, the shutter under load you can't quite name? That's the biggest F-150 problem for most owners, the pattern you can't unhear once someone says it out loud. Here's the shocker. Ford fixed it. The stumbles, the timing chatter, the hot day weirdness, addressed. But there's a catch big enough to fill a service bay. The fix works only if you play by the rules the new system expects. If you keep driving like it's 2009, you're going to miss the win and still pay the bill. Let's set the table. The modern F-150 superpower is on-demand torque with civilized manners. The supervillain is what that took. Tight timing control, turbo plumbing packed into a hot neighborhood, intercoolers cold enough to condense morning air, and calibrations that juggle emissions, economy, and feel in real weather with real drivers. For years, 3 complaints kept coming back like seasons. The cold start timing clatter that could mature into a chain/phaser job, the charge air cooler cough where humidity turns into misfire roulette, and the underhood heat that turns fuel economy and responsiveness into a coin toss when you're working hard. Now the good news. Ford closed the loop. Hardware revisions, smarter ducting, tougher phasers, strategy updates, airflow tweaks, the stuff that looks boring on paper and feels like magic on a Tuesday. Owners notice it as silence where there used to be chatter, clean pulls on days that used to feel soggy, and a truck that doesn't hunt or wheeze when the thermometer laughs at you. That's the fix. But here's the catch. It's not a switch, it's a system. If you miss one piece, oil, airflow, software, heat management, you'll swear nothing changed. The truck will do exactly what the old one did because you set the conditions it was designed to escape. Start with the rattle. Cold starts are the most violent 2 seconds of any engine's day. Old logic let oil pressure, varnish, and chain dynamics decide whether you got music or marbles. The revision isn't a louder exhaust, it's a quieter orchestra. Revised cam phasers with more stable authority, chain and guide hardware that hates stick slip, and a start strategy that lands oil where it belongs faster with less drama. If you've lived with that half-second clatter, you'll hear the difference immediately. The catch? Oil is now a control input. You run the viscosity and interval the calibration expects, or you drag the system back to 2018 with 1 extra 1,000 miles on your change. 5,000 miles is the ceiling, not a suggestion. In heat, in tow season, before big trips, not after. Change that habit and the fixed timing system stays fixed. Keep pretending 10K is fine because a dashboard said so, and you'll buy the same repair the internet warned you about. Next, the cough. Turbo compression heats air. Intercoolers get it cold again. Too cold on dew point mornings. Park hot, cool down, restart, punch it. Pooled condensate becomes a stumble or misfire that spooks you in traffic. Ford attacked this with ducting that guides what used to pool, drains that move what used to sit, and calibration that refuses to be surprised. The result is uneventful mornings where there used to be drama. The catch is such a grown-up problem, you'll want to roll your eyes. You can't light the fuse in the first 60 to 90 seconds of a cold, wet day and expect physics to salute. Ease into boost, let the cats light, let the tract purge, and you own a truck that never coughs where other people swear they always do. If your build has a retrofit path and you ignore it, you're choosing nostalgia over reliability. Heat is the quiet assassin Ford learned to manage. Under long grades, headwinds, and altitude, the old behavior was predictable. Mixtures richened to save hardware, timing moves to keep temps sane. You feel it as a softer truck and a gas gauge that falls like a stock chart. The fix isn't more power, it's flow. Air gets in easier, out cleaner, through faster. The controller keeps it in a torque band that doesn't cook the exhaust. The trans stops lugging in the name of brochure numbers, and the cooling stack is treated like an oxygen mask, not a decoration. Towing feels less like a truce and more like competence. The catch is on you. Dirty fins and bent louvers are a self-inflicted wound. If you treat the cooling stack like a bug museum, you'll still buy fuel like nothing changed. Clean it. Keep shutters honest. Downshift sooner. Tow/haul is not optional on a climb. The fix is real. Your habits decide whether you ever meet it. There's another fix you won't see unless you read between the lines of the software notes. The engine used to feel like 2 personalities, efficient hermit, rowdy neighbor. The latest logic behaves like a parent who screens your friends. It lets the fun in, but not the ones who break your stuff. Cylinder decisions are less twitchy, relights are better timed, and the truck seems to know the difference between confident pass and I'm late and dumb. That polish doesn't cost you response. It costs you the edge cases that generated forum posts. The catch? Updates exist for a reason. If you freeze your calibration because it was fine, you stop time exactly where the rough parts lived. Take the update. If the truck feels worse, document it and go back. Don't camp in 2019 because of superstition. Let's translate all of that into what you actually feel. Cold mornings are boring. That's the point. The first pull of the day is clean even when the grass is wet. That's the point. Long hauls feel like someone took a backpack off the truck. That's the point. The catch is that your truck now expects you to treat oil like a control knob, airflow like a contract, and heat like an adversary you plan around. If you do those three things, the problem you bought this video to fix will stay fixed. If you don't, you're going to claim nothing changed and the internet lied to you. Money time. What does fixed save you over 5 years? Scenario 1. You own the updated truck and act like a grown-up. Oil every 5,000, fresh before trips, intake track tight, cooling stack clean, software current. You spend a couple hundred extra across the calendar compared to lazy intervals, and you avoid the single big repair that makes people hate this platform. Surprise spend. A coil, a sensor, maybe a clamp, maybe plugs early if you tow in heat. Add it up and you're in the hundreds, not the thousands. Scenario 2. You ignore the catch. You keep 10,000 interval because a screen gave you permission. You hammer from cold on humid days because you're late. You never clean the fins. You tell yourself half a pound of bugs is character. The old failure tree still exists for you because you rebuilt the old conditions. A timing job here, a condensation day there, a hot side connector that crumbled because heat cycles don't read forums. Add it up and you're at 3 to 6 grand of surprises across 5 years, and nothing to show for it but stories you didn't want to collect. There's an even bigger catch hiding inside the good news. The smoothness you're going to love? It comes from control. Control comes from assumptions about inputs. Inputs are oil, air, temperature, and load. That means your mods have consequences. Bigger tires without gears? You changed load lines. The strategy will protect hardware, and you'll swear the fix didn't fix anything. Roof bars, light pods, racks? You changed aero. Headwind plus accessories is why your highway economy ghosted you. A tune you bought for ego? You just invalidated the idea that the factory can control stress the way it planned. I'm not saying don't mod. I'm saying mod with the same respect Ford used to fix the thing you asked it to fix. So, what about the trucks you already own? The ones built before the fix existed. Here's the part nobody wants to hear, and everyone needs to. You can retrofit the behavior even if you can't bolt on a model year. You can update calibration, revise ducting if your build supports it, replace weak era parts with revised ones, and, most important, adopt the habits the newer logic assumes. In other words, you can buy most of the fix with discipline and a few targeted parts, not a new payment. Let's stack this into a simple playbook, so you never say, "I thought Ford fixed this," again. Oil is a control surface. Run the spec the phasers expect. Change it at 5K, 4K if you're short trip heavy. Change before you tow long, not after. This is not superstition. It's hydraulics. Air is a contract. Every 90 days, break the intake path down and touch every coupler and clamp. If you can smell oil where you shouldn't, the truck is compensating for a leak and the fix can't show up. Heat is an adversary. Clean the cooling stack. Respect tow haul. Don't lug at 1,600 RPM uphill in July because a number on a brochure made you proud. Hold a gear that lives where BSFC is friendly. Start discipline is cheap. On wet mornings, give it a minute to stabilize. If your build supports the updated ducting and drains, do them. Park nose up when you can. You're not a victim of dew point if you act like you've heard of dew point. Software is evolution. When a calibration update mentions start behavior, relight, or drivability, take it. If it stumbles after, document and get it corrected. Don't anchor your entire ownership to a snapshot of code written for conditions you don't drive anymore. If you're shopping, here's how to read the lot through this lens. Don't just ask, does it have the fix? Ask, do I live like someone who will let the fix work? If your life is suburban duty with occasional projects and sane towing, you're exactly who this generation was designed to please. If your life is heat, altitude, long grades, big tires, and impatience, you can still win. Just adopt the rules now, not after your first invoice. There's one more catch nobody markets because it sounds like homework. The fix also expects you to keep records, not to please a dealer, though it will, but to prove to the next owner and to yourself that your truck has lived in the conditions the system was designed to thrive in. A folder with oil intervals, filter dates, cooling stack photos, and update notes is resale value in paper form. It turns fear into trust. So yes, Ford fixed the biggest F-150 problem. The silence is real. The smooth mornings are real. The way it keeps its cool under work is real. The truck you wanted is finally the truck you get. The catch is that you're part of the solution now. If that sounds like a hassle, remember the alternative. Pretending an old rulebook still applies to a new machine, and paying for the privilege. If you already own the updated truck, enjoy the quiet and keep the bargain. If you own an older one, retrofit the behavior and the key parts, and you'll think you bought a different vehicle. If you're shopping, buy the system, not the story. The fix is only as good as the conditions you give it, and giving it those conditions is cheaper than the repair it replaced. Relief is the headline. Responsibility is the fine print. Read both, and you'll never have to read a service invoice with your jaw on the floor again.